So we're live. This is Stiglitz, who's a little bit freaked out about being held. She doesn't like being held for very long. So I'm just going to pop her over here. It's good to be back for the second stream. I've got a riding crop with a bell on it. So now you get your butt out of the way, Stiglitz. So it's going to be a very interesting stream, I think. This should be good. Come on, down you get. Yes, Stiglitz meets required cat standards, as we know. It's good to be here. Now, this week, what I thought I'd do is hello to all you folks. Seeing some different names, so good to see you. What I'll do is I thought I've got my keyboard here over on the right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the post that I did about suspensions and harmony in music, because a lot of you liked that post and a lot of you liked it, but you didn't quite sort of understand what the hell I was on about, which is fair enough because it's actually a reasonably confusing topic to talk about. So I'll sort of do a bit of a demo of that, and also I'm just going to answer a few questions I got as well. People may or may not be aware that I've just put a request thing on my streams. The streaming post, the K-pop lip streaming post on the blog, now has a little request box, much like the Curimol one, where you can request topics ahead of time. So yeah, feel free to go there, and I'm just going to practice my vision switching. Oh yeah, that works good, I think. Yep, cool. So, and that's just edited the streaming post on the blog. So you go down to the bottom and there's a little request box. You can click for a topic, and it will do that. And if it doesn't do that because you don't see this window, because some of you won't because of JavaScript, then just click on Yunha from G-Friend here, and it will just go to the same thing like that as a separate page. So, and yeah, just type in water, anything you want, and there you go. It'll request it. It says thanks for taking the survey. Don't know why. I've actually changed that to say something else, but the change hasn't updated, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Anyway, that's that. Oh, there's my Patreon. Do I own a cowboy hat or a fedora? Well, I've got this hat here, which isn't quite a fedora, and it's not a it's not a cowboy hat. I do have a cowboy hat actually. Or it's not really a cowboy hat, it's more of like an Australian bushman's hat. I tend to wear that more than anything else, because it's like a fairly daggy hat, but it's good because it covers the sun. But I don't have that in this room, so you won't see it. Maybe next stream I'll do it. So, glad that I'm meeting required standards for content. All good. Okay, so I'm going to talk quickly, because I'm going to make these streams only half an hour long, so I'll try. That's my way of disciplining myself, so I get through information quickly. I'm going to talk about my suspensions post a bit and give you some examples. So we'll drag this keyboard over. It so you can see the keys. slide this over a bit. Okay, I think we're good. Pull this back. That's a bit crooked, isn't it? There we go. Perfect. Great. Okay, so suspensions, what the hell are they? Some of you got a bit confused. Basically, Western music, you have melody, which is the stuff on the top. How does it go? Right, and you have your chords at the bottom. Chords for now that last one's a suspended chord. Put it together, and I'm not very good at actually playing this song. I'm just doing it off the top of my head. Almost. I looked at it 5 minutes yesterday. There you go. So that's Orange Caramel's Magic Girl. For those who don't recognise it, it's a little bit less recognisable, slowed down, because it's actually a minor key song. So, because it starts in C minor, so it sounds really moody when it's played slowly instead of quickly. But your suspended chord is the G, like that. So, as I was trying to explain in the blog, in the old days, they didn't know what chords were. Like, Beethoven didn't know what chords were because chords hadn't been invented. So, and Mozart, people like that, they had no idea. The whole concept came afterwards, but what they did have is they had this idea of certain notes being more, certain relationships between notes being more important. So, a third, so a gap between of that was considered to be a good relationship, whereas a gap of a fourth was considered to be a not so good relationship. But it was okay to have a fourth if you resolved it to a third like that. So you're going 4 to 3, and that's what the suspended chord does. It's got the 4 to the 3, and it's also got the 5 up here. So here you've got if we look at the 3 notes of the chord, we've got a relationship of 2 going to 3 and a relationship of 4 going to 3. So that's supposed to be nice, according to the standards of the time, and that exists in the suspended chord now, and in that bit. In that song, the girls sort of do while the backing keyboard does it. So hopefully that made sense. With the visuals, I don't know if it really did or not, because you guys aren't typing anything. You're probably all like, what the fuck? I don't know, or maybe you just get it and you're like, yeah, stop being so obvious. But there you go. Just wanted to do that for those of you who are interested in it. Let's get back to talking about other stuff. Just slide that over. So yeah, thanks, glad you liked it. Yeah, and it's a pretty common sound. It tends to be, back in the old days, there's more for vocals, and if I just dial up a vocal sound on this thing, like you can really hear like the good intervals of the octave, the fifth, the third, and the sixth, because they have, by the standards of the day, they had sort of harmonious vibrations, whereas if you play a second, it's kind of a weird sounding, there's a bit of a clash between the notes, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Play tritone, there's a really big clash. Anyway, hopefully that helped. Because I have a streaming question box, I'll go look at that in a sec. Yeah, I'm good. Glad you all learned stuff. How has my research into North Korea aided my blog? Eva Unit 02 has been a reader for quite some time, as some of you will know, and he actually sent me a couple of books about North Korea. And I should pull the books out actually. I might do that. Give me just a moment. I found one of them. One of them was that, which is a really interesting book called Dear Leader, From Trusted Insider to Enemy as a State, My Escape from North Korea, Jang Jin Sung. Quite interesting book. The guy who wrote it, quite high-ranking official in North Korea, met the Mr. Dear Leader himself, and then escaped because of some horrible thing, like nothing major, like I think a document went missing or something like that, in that particular dictatorship. You know, just the tiniest little thing, and then suddenly you're wanted. But yeah, really interesting book. And yeah, North Korean regime is exactly as horrible as you think. It's a pretty bad place. The other book I read, I can't remember the name. The Girl with Seven Names, that's right. I don't have that one floating around. That's also really good, and that's more from the perspective of someone who was just sort of like a regular citizen. And yeah, but similar sort of stuff, I guess. Gets more into the family life sort of aspect, which is really interesting. But yeah, I won't talk about that anymore. But yeah, interesting stuff. Worth reading about North Korea a bit. But yeah, I thought Dear Leader was a slightly better book. So yeah, pick that up if you can. Let's go to my Streambox, see if I've got stuff there. Just do that. Oh. This one. Oh yeah, here's all my tests. Cool. So, please discuss why the big three bosses, JYP, YGSM, stepped down from their CEO position but still pretty much control everything. Are they all doing what Lisa Mann did with the extra company? Now, I mean, I'm not going to pretend to know exactly what's going on there. But what I will say is that it's not an uncommon thing for, once the CEO stops running a company, because running a company, if you've ever run a company, it's more than a full-time job. You pretty much work, sleep, live, eat, breathe your work. You don't have, it's not like you knock off and do a 9 to 5, then you knock off and you have 8 hours of fun time. Being a managing director or a CEO is constant work. The people I know who do it work constantly. And so naturally you get sick of it after a while. And if you've spent all those years working at it, and then you've got a large company that's successful, then, naturally you're going to want to not do it anymore. But the people who are doing it in your place are probably going to want a bit of guidance. So it's quite common for CEOs to step down from their actual CEO role into sort of like an advisory capacity, I guess, where they still get to have a say in all of the biggest decisions, but without all the head fucks that go into managing everything in, day out, and having to answer a million emails and do a million things. So it's not unprecedented, and the whole money laundering aspect of it that may or may not be happening is another matter. But for someone to have their own separate company, like a consulting company or something like that, aside from the business, would be, I think, pretty normal. Just reading your comments. Pushback against feminism in Korea. Yeah, it's an interesting article. Someone sent me some stuff about the feminism and gaming and stuff like that. And I mean, you know, there's crazies on both sides of that debate, aren't there? So, I mean, I've talked about feminism before in posts and stuff like that. I mean, I generally agree with a lot of feminism and feminist aims and all that sort of stuff, but generally speaking, I like feminism when it's trying to, I don't know, open up access for things and, you know, letting women be able to do stuff, you know, getting paid the same as men and being able to have equal access to opportunities, you know, those are good things. But when feminism is used as a way to control things, you know, like, you know, you can't wear that because it's bad, or you can't look at this, you know, that's when I don't like it. So that's a fairly clear distinction, I think. Unfortunately, a lot of feminism these days falls into the latter category, but a lot of it also does fall into the former category, which I support. So, yeah, I don't know. Not does it really even matter what I think? Probably not. Oh, I have a visitor. She's back. Let's see if I can pick her up without freaking out. No, she wants to go back out again. She's like, fuck this, fuck your stream, I hate K-pop. It's my girlfriend down there. She just called my cat a little turd because the cat snuck out of the room. So anyway, yeah, feminism. Saudi Arabia needs feminism. Yeah, I mean, you know, women only just got the right to drive in Saudi Arabia a little while ago. It's a pretty fucked up place. Yeah, I think those countries, I mean, inevitably, I think they're going to move towards equality eventually, but how long it's going to take them, God knows. You know, I think it's better to have a gradual shift towards equality from inside the country rather than, you know, someone going and bombing the place or whatever. Anyway, it's a bit dark, isn't it? Let's move on to some other stuff. Where was that? Where was those questions? What do you think about Geo? This is Geo from Mblock, revealing how agencies screw over their idols and the chart manipulation. Well, I already knew about agencies screwing over idols. That's nothing. I've talked about that a fair bit. The chart manipulation stuff I haven't talked about because of reasons. Because I actually do some work on charts and stuff like that, and yeah, I'll say no more about that. But the whole thing about companies, what's really interesting about what Gio said is it's not actually the companies doing it, it's outsourced companies that are doing it. So there's a private company that goes around fixing charts or doing similar to what SEO companies do, search engine optimization companies, where they'll, you know, a company will say, oh, you know, well, I can get you top ranked on Google or whatever. So you pay them a bunch of money and they do some stuff. Usually just hire some people to sit on bums and sit on seats, bums on seats, and they just sit there, you know, searching you up on Google until you go higher in the rankings, and they charge you a bunch of money for it. So I guess the chart fixing works in much the same way, in that it's private people who are doing stuff. It's not some insider at the company flicking a switch. It's someone from outside using various computer resources to do stuff, human or computer. So that's interesting. So yes, I've got an interesting question here. So I've read how you've talked about how FX were basically a secondary group for SM to capture a smaller market that SNSD didn't grasp. Seeing as how Twice is so huge right now, and the plans are for JYP to debut their next girl group in the first half of 2019, I think it's likely this will be JYP's FX group with a very different concept, so as not to overlap with Twice. Would you agree? Makes sense. I guess we won't know until we see them, but I think that's a fairly logical assumption. If that group comes out and they're, I don't know, different somehow, then yeah, that would make sense. Produce 48. Can it be safe to assume you don't give any fucks about Produce 48? Correct. I'm not following that at all. I don't even know what's going on. Is anything even going on? I don't know. I don't care really. Just like with Produce 101 and all that stuff, you know, once a song comes out, I'll start giving a fuck. You know, if the song's good, then yeah, it's good. If not, then it's not. I care about the songs that come out and whether I like them. I don't really care about all this reality TV show stuff that's happening months in advance. That's all to promote the idol and all that sort of stuff, and that's all fine. I understand how the business works, but I don't actually care about it. There's a difference between, you know, understanding that whole process and actually giving a fuck. In fact, the fact that I do understand it to a fair degree is probably why I care so little about it, because I can see that it's just promotion for the idols. So I don't really care about it. I'll worry about when the song comes out. Then it might be good. And yeah, I don't follow. You'll notice I'm very inactive on all the discussions that happen about that sort of stuff. Next question: who wins, Mariah or Whitney? Mariah, because she's still alive. Didn't take fuckloads of drugs and die. That's when you're winning at life. When you're not dead. Favourite Studio Ghibli movie would be Spirited Away. I haven't seen very many of them, but I thought Spirited Away was the best one. And I also like Princess Mononoke. The one that I really didn't like, I thought Kiki's delivery service was kind of stupid. It had a cute cat. That's about all I had going for it. So, does that mean Vanilla Ice is better than Jimi Hendrix? Well, they're in slightly different genres, aren't they? It's a little bit hard to compare on that basis. But, hey, better to be alive than dead. What do you reckon? I think so. Should Mamamoo do a minstrel concept? Yeah, why not? Well, they're already the devil, aren't they? According to some people, so I might as well go all out. So that'd be good. Please, fans, all their lovely fans on Twitter who like me very much. I think they dig the minstrel concept from Mamamoo, which, I mean, they pretty much did do anyway, didn't they? Anyway. Just reading your scrolls. Will you continue to change the time of the live stream? Yeah, I made this one a bit earlier just to see if it would suit people more or less. As a general rule, earlier in the day for me tends to suit more people. That's probably because of the US. But then, you know, fuck catering to Americans, they get everything catered to them all the time in terms of stream times and stuff like that. You know, so I might just keep moving it around to fuck with people. Maybe make the next one. The previous one I did was 2.5 hours after this one I'm doing now, so maybe the next one will be a bit later in the day again. Did you give Skyrim a try? Yeah, I did actually. I didn't like it at all. I had a feeling I wouldn't, and I was right. I love the intro. Had a fantastic intro with you know, the dragon wrecking the town and stuff like that, where they sort of teach you the game mechanics at the same time. But once I got through all that, and then you're left with the open world, I was like, man, I don't give a shit about any of these people. You know, I wasn't sufficiently invested in the game in any particular way that I actually wanted to keep playing once the hand-holding bit was done. It just was like, oh, okay, I'm in a world and there's some stuff going on and I don't really care about it, so I'm just going to wander around for a bit and look at some very nice looking trees, and then I'll just log off and play something else. Wasn't that exciting. But yeah, I mean, you know, it was pretty. It looked nice. If I was really bored, I probably would have loved Skyrim if I was 13, right? Because when you're 13 years old, you get home from school and you've got all afternoon and evening to kill, and what the fuck are you going to do? You fuck around in this big open world, sounds great, you know? So, but I don't know, I'm not 13, I'm an old motherfucker, I got shit to do, so I don't have 8 hours to go around gradually exploring a world each night. You know, I want my entertainment to come a bit quicker than that. Maybe that's why I like pop music now more than I used to in time scale. Only got a few minutes left on this stream, so if you've got any questions, fire away real quick. If you come up with a question and it happens just after the stream finishes, just chuck it in the box I showed you before, and I'll read it out on the next stream. Probably, unless I get so many that I'm inundated, but I don't think that'll happen. I've only had one person use the box so far. So, and the streams, like the last time I did streaming, it's, you know, this hasn't really been a massively popular thing or anything. I think it's just nice for the people who would like it. Maybe it'll get bigger as it goes, maybe it won't. Streamer lifestyle, well, I'm not really sure what the stream lifestyle entails apart from blocking out half an hour of my time to do this. I'm glad it's only half an hour, to be honest. I actually quite like doing this. I really look forward to doing this one after the first one. So, thanks all for coming. Appreciate it. But, yeah, 2 hours like I used to do is too much. So, if you want stream times, just make sure you're on my Twitter, because they're on there. And I haven't really... what I'd probably like to do is have one time set in stone that works for everybody, but I haven't worked out what that is yet. Maybe next time, but next time I don't think I'll do it this early. Since next time I think I'll do it a little bit later. Luna's agency is going to debut another girl group, which is a co-production with a Japanese company. Do you think they'll be sabotaging Luna's slow build-up? No. Don't see why. You know, there's more than one girl group out there. More fingers in the pie just means more chances that something's going to happen, I guess. So yeah, I don't know much else to say. That'll do for this stream. By the way, I just found out that while I was figuring out Magic Girl, I figured out Wonder Girl So Hot just because I remember the video of JYP doing it, and it's just such a simple song. God, I hate that clap sound. Ooh, that's even worse. I'll just take it back to piano. Yeah, the melody is just that's the whole verse, and the chorus is just yeah, easy song in the world. That's C minor to A flat major. Do I know Tiara Cry Cry on guitar? No, I haven't actually bothered to teach myself it. Although you know that's all keyboard in Tiara's Cry Cry, don't you? It's synthesized guitar on the keyboard. Anyway, that's it. So I'll be back next week at probably not this time, probably a bit later, but I'll fill you guys in on the Twitter. And yeah, thanks for watching, and good night.